Hey everyone, welcome back to the Keep Watching podcast, where we decide what to watch so you don't have to. I'm James.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we're going to be talking about Psycho-Pass. Sarah, my household is kind of back in sick mode, so I haven't watched much since we last talked. Just basically been watching Psycho-Pass, so I don't really have any check-ins.
Okay.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I managed to get enough daylight hours in to finish up the Midnight Club because, you know, I have to watch my spooky things during the day because I'm a wimp. It was pretty good, but it's weird because most of the Flanagan shows are just like one season and that's it. But this is apparently open for a second season, so you didn't quite get the wrap up that you get with the other ones. So I'm not as satisfied with it as with the other things, but I think that'll change once the next season comes. But it was pretty good. A little spooky,
you
not
wish you
too
had
spooky.
Saved it for when it was completed?
No, I just wish it was completed.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a good feeling though.
Yeah,
that's how you know a show's good, when you're mad that there aren't more episodes.
Well, it's just all the other things by the end. You know, it usually tells you what's up with the ghosts and why they're ghosting. And I don't know why these ghosts are ghosting. And
hopefully it's not a lost scenario where they just couldn't come up with anything.
No, I think there's supposed to be a second season.
Okay. Nice. It's still spooky season, Sarah.
It is still spooky season.
Okay.
We are coming up on the end of it, but
what is the end of it? Halloween?
I mean, in theory, but as I said before, the spooky season it lives in your heart for as long as you need spooky season. But I'm about to do my big annual movie marathon I do with my brother where we watch spooky movies.
Oh.
And then it'll probably be done after that. But I haven't picked out the spooky movies
yet. Picked them yet. Okay.
That's a whole nother ordeal where I need daylight hours to watch like the trailers for a million spooky movies to like narrow it down.
Gotcha. Okay.
I haven't quite finished that yet, but I need to because that's coming up soon.
All right. You gonna let us know after you watch?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the time anybody listens to it, it won't be spooky season anymore.
But it will be November, which is the perfect time to watch The Nightmare Before Christmas because it is not a Halloween movie. It is not a Christmas movie. It is a Thanksgiving movie right in between. So still a little spooky.
Because it's in between, it makes it a Thanksgiving movie?
Yes.
Okay. I thought you were about to say that that's a spooky movie, which I guess it is, but I mean,
it's got spooky vibes, but like, you know, it's a very light spooky movie.
The Boogeyman was scary when I was little, yeah, for sure.
Oh, definitely, yes.
All right. Is Psycho-Pass a spooky show, Sarah?
I would say in an entirely different way. It's more of a, society is spooky, I guess. I don't know.
It's an action sci-fi thriller. I don't think it's enough to be horror necessarily. I don't know.
No, yeah.
I'm not experienced in these fields to tell you what's what. But yeah. Are we ready for my Psycho-Pass rundown?
Oh, I am ready.
All right. The wiki explanation of the show is kind of long because it's a fairly complicated dystopian future, I would say. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to try to make it short, and then as the things come up that we need to explain as we go, we'll try to explain them.
Yeah.
But here we go. This is the setting of Psycho-Pass. Psycho-Pass is set in a futuristic Japan governed by the Sybil system, a powerful biomechatronic computer network which endlessly measures the biometrics of Japanese citizens' brains and mentalities using a somatic scan.
Oof.
There you go. And then our main character, believing in humanity and order, policewoman Akane Tsunemori, obeys the ruling computerized precognitive Sybil system, but when she faces a criminal mastermind who can elude this perfect system, she questions both the Sybil system and herself. Now, that's the IMDb blurb of the page.
Okay.
In these first two episodes, we are not going to get to this character that can elude the system.
I see.
Although there's kind of like a...
Yeah, there's a beginning part where... Okay, well, first of all, I apologize for how many names I'm not going to remember for this. I've got the girl's name, and then everybody else has a stupid nickname. But I'm assuming that mullet guy from the beginning is maybe this bad guy. Seems like maybe.
The white hair guy?
Yes.
Yeah. That is, you know what? I didn't even write his name down because He didn't really come up in the first episode.
Yeah.
It's the thing where like you watch. This is the thing with animes where like when you're watching it and people are saying the names, you like knowing who they're talking about, and then like if you want to talk about it outside of it, you're like, wait, I don't know any characters' names in this anime actually. Even though when you're watching it, it makes perfect sense at least.
Yeah.
I do have all the names, so I will do my best as we go.
Okay.
Now the rest of this breakdown of this show, Sarah.
Uh-huh.
This is just like the craziness of animes and I guess how they are presented to the US market or something.
Okay.
But I'm going to try to explain the whole Psycho Pass universe, which I have not watched. I've only watched season 1. So I'm going to do my best to explain all the Psycho Pass content that's out there.
Is it, all the extra stuff? I see.
Okay.
Okay.
The Psycho Pass, the show,
Mm-hmm.
has run from 2012 to 2019.
Okay.
So big gaps in between seasons here.
Ah, okay.
Also maybe it's still ongoing.
Interesting.
So today we're watching Psycho Pass, which is to say that is season 1
Mm-hmm.
of the show Psycho Pass. There's also a
Okay.
season 2 and 3, but they called them Psycho Pass 2, Psycho Pass 3, if you're like
okay.
looking for them online. We watched it on Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
I originally watched it on Crunchyroll, which is my go-to like anime streaming site.
Mm-hmm.
Psycho Pass 2, aka season 2, is also on Crunchyroll, not on Hulu. If you dare keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And then Psycho Pass 3, aka season 3, is on Amazon Prime.
Oof. All over the place.
The first 2 seasons came out between 2012 and 2014, and then the third season didn't come out to 2019. And then at that point, whatever network like owns it in Japan like made a deal with Amazon Prime on the show, so it's only available on Amazon Prime. And then in 2015, there was a Psycho Pass the movie.
Oh.
And then there's a spin-off series called Psycho Pass Sinners of the System, which came out in 2019, and that one is on Crunchyroll.
Okay.
And then there's something called Psycho Pass 3 First Inspector, which I believe if you go on Amazon Prime, it's labeled as season 4.
Wow.
So it's a little complicated to keep up with. I think the main show is just the first 3 seasons, and then everything else is the movie might have the characters, but it's like not related. You don't have to watch it.
Okay.
You know, it's its own thing.
Most animes complicated like this?
Yes, I would say yes. Anything that's like multiple seasons.
Okay.
It's a little spicy, especially when you're trying to figure out how to watch them. Not when you're not in Japan. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it's probably smoother when you're in the country of origin.
All in all, first season is 22 episodes, 22 minutes each. Second season is 11 episodes, 22 minutes each. And the third season is 8 episodes, 46 minutes each.
Jeez.
2-hour movie.
Mm-hmm.
The spin-off series, Sinners of the System, is 3 1-hour films, apparently.
Okay.
And then season 4 on Amazon Prime, aka Psycho Pass 3 First Inspector, is a one film presented as 3 45-minute episodes. So if you add that all up, Sarah, it's about 15,029 minutes total, or about 25 and a half hours.
Okay.
Which sounds like a lot, but I mean, if a normal show that has a bunch of seasons is way more than that.
Oh, yeah.
It sounded like a lot when I added it up, but...
Yes, it was an impressive number.
Yeah, so it took me a little while to gather all that and understand that.
Fair. Seems complicated as hell. Either way, we didn't have to worry about it because 2 episodes on Hulu. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I might actually be like 1 episode away from finishing season 1 of the show.
Okay.
It got a little, I don't know what to say, like samey, or maybe like a little, the dystopian factor like wore off of it. And then something happened about like 2/3 of the way through season 1 that I was like, okay, I'm back in on this. And then I don't know how it concludes, or what is I don't know what season 2 of the show is, or season 3 of it is. So I don't know how far I'll get, but so far it's good.
You could be leading us down towards, I don't know, some Lost type content at the end of this. Who knows?
At least 21 episodes of solid content.
Okay.
But yeah, this is a little bit different because the person who's bringing the show to the podcast has not actually watched all of it. But my goal was, I was trying to find an anime that I liked and fit your, how would you call it, like Blade Runner style.
The fact that I liked the
grimy.
first 10 minutes of Andor.
The first 10 minutes of Andor, yeah. What is that? What is that? If for people that haven't seen Andor, like, what is it? Gritty or grimy?
Yeah, sort of like a gritty dystopian sci-fi situation. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I at least succeeded on that. Whether or not you're going to like it, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But I think I at least
fit
found
the
something that
theme.
fit. Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah. Anything you want to say before we start, Sarah?
I went into it with, the anime is not my thing, but I try to go into these with an open mind, so we'll see. I tried my best, as always.
Okay. Sounds sketchy. Here we go. Episode 1.
AKA the episode full of exposition.
Yeah. We'll get there. Yeah. But also has action, though, which I appreciate.
Yes, it does.
I was thinking that, like, maybe we can talk about this after we get through the episodes, but, like, you could almost switch episode 2 and episode 1 of this show, kind of, right?
Yeah. Except like she's got a little bit of an arc, like, that requires some
Yeah, you might have to
emotional-
mix and match some of the details, but episode 1 is kind of like action and explaining the mechanics of the universe of the dystopia we're about to watch. And then episode 2 is like just character building with like no action.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So you could have reversed it, but I think I like it better this way. I don't know.
Yeah, they're trying to hook you in with the cool guns and action and,
Yeah. I was just thinking like compared to like Andor was like very much just like let's build up all these new characters with nothing happening and then something will happen. So
yes.
that didn't work for me as much. But all right. Here we go. You ready?
I'm ready. Yes.
Episode 1 is called Crime Coefficient. And we immediately start with the intro song for the show, I believe.
Yes. And I wrote down emo music. No bad emo music. I did not like this song.
Oh, you didn't like it? I don't
No.
really think much about intro music on the animes. But the intro goes into like a flash forward, I would call it.
Yes.
Or you could call it like that's the present and everything we're about to watch is a flashback, but it's a very
That's
long
also
flash.
true.
It's a multi-episode flashback if you look at it that way. But there's some sort of flash forward here. Yeah.
It took me by surprise. I was like finishing, settling in, like, okay, I'm going to take some notes and, there's going to be flashes of whatever. It doesn't really, and I'm like, nope. Oh, wait, this shit matters. I got to pay attention.
Yeah. But before we get to the flash forward scene, you get a bit of like, I immediately got like Blade Runner vibes.
Oh,
from
yeah.
the city, right?
Like this futuristic city. It might even be raining, but it's definitely at night and it's all like, ooh, a little grimy.
And they're like robot police officers, like zooming through the streets and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then we get to like, something's actually happening already. The song's still going, but something's happening.
Yeah, there's a guy with a gun and he's fighting a guy with a robot arm or something.
Yeah.
That wasn't quite clear.
Actually, a lot. I have gotten to the point in the show where they get back to this.
Uh-huh.
It's a little too much to explain right now.
That's fair. You don't need to.
Okay.
Leave that mystery for later.
It's basically a guy with a gun fighting some guy with a helmet on, I'll say. The helmet is more important than whatever weapon he was using. It seems like they're in like the tallest tower in the city, something like that, yeah.
And he like pushes that guy out of the window or something. But then there's also a shot of some guy with a terrible mullet.
Is it a mullet? I don't even know.
Yes.
I didn't even think about it. It's just anime hair.
It's a mullet. It's a terrible mullet.
Okay.
I don't like this man's
like
hair.
silver white hair. Well, you're not supposed to like him, so.
Okay, so they did their job.
And yeah, they're just gonna have like, what would you call this conversation? I wrote creepy dude on some stairs. That's what I wrote for this. The
Okay,
silver hair.
that's fair. Yeah, it is a awkward. I don't know,
Very
like
serious.
mullet guy is like, yeah, really serious, but like condescending and just like telling this gun guy he did a good job or whatever, and then you get a voiceover that is a lady saying like, destiny has planned this encounter or whatever, and it's very dramatic.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think I completely missed this thing when I first watched the show, or just forgot about it because it is not important for this to be like a flash forward in the show.
And it blends into the opening credits. It makes it,
yeah, it's a little
you're,
sneaky.
You're likely to miss it.
Yeah, it's not important though. I don't think like it didn't need to be a flash forward. I'm not sure why it was.
And they like say each other's names too. And I wrote them down, but it's just forever gun guy and mullet guy. It's just
Okay, we're gonna learn their names. The the guy with the white hair, I'm blanking on his name right now. But he's gonna end up
Shogo.
being like the. All right, you're gonna make me look it up. Here we go.
Well, I wrote it down. I just can't say Japanese things accurately, so I get nervous about it.
I think everybody goes by their like it's.
Oh,
Isn't
by
Japan
their-
like reversed?
Oh, yeah, you're probably right. So Shogo, but it's longer. Makishima?
Makishima,
Ma-
yeah.
Makishima?
He'll be referred to as
Okay.
Makishima in the show.
Okay, mullet guy it is. And then the gun guy is what? Shinya Kogami?
Kogami.
Kogami. There we go.
Makishima is the bad guy. He's not going to be in the first 2 episodes.
Yes. Well, gun guy gets a different nickname later because I didn't realize he was the same guy when he showed up, but it's fine.
Oh, okay. You don't just pretend this scene wasn't even in there. It's not
Okay.
important at all. All right, let's get to the main show here.
Yeah, we get the big title that shows up, and then it's like, now it's definitely raining in the city. And there's robot cops, and they look really cute for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But they're like cutting off access to a particular block of houses or something.
Yeah, so we saw in the opening credits, like, it looked like police robots, like little, like, I don't even know how to describe them. They're like trash cans on wheels or something,
Yeah.
like zooming around. But then when they're like creating a perimeter at the crime scene here, they have like hollow projections of like cutesy, like like kids doll characters. I don't even know how to describe them.
Yeah. They're like how I think cities in Japan have mascots for their city and they're just cutesy. It's like that.
Yeah, they're like police
like,
mascots.
they're
Like they're all
cops.
they're all the same. Yeah. Whenever they have to like interact with citizens, I guess they just like project this hologram around the robot to make him look like friendly, basically. Yeah.
That would scare the absolute shit out of me. They're dead eyes and they're like super happy smile.
It would, unless
like
you
it.
lived in this universe and were familiar with this technology, which we'll get
I
to
think-
later.
I think it would still scare me.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, so there's a bunch of police robots that are guarding the scene. And then
Yeah.
our main character arrives,
Yes,
Akane
actual
Tsunomore.
people cops.
Yes, she arrives to the scene, but she's late. But the robots let her pass when she shows her identification. I'm going to be referring to her as Akane.
Yes, that is the name that I could remember through this whole thing.
Like her official name is Inspector Tsunomori, but I think she gets referred to as Akane very often in the show.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
have her as
definitely.
Akane, and we find out she's an inspector, and she's gonna be reporting to another inspector, Inspector Ginoza.
Yes. Man who is too busy to do his job.
Oh, he's serious. Wait, too busy to do his job?
Well, we
How
find
so?
out that this is her very first day, and he's like, I don't have time to give you the rookie treatment. And I'm like, what? To like tell her what her job is and like do what you're supposed to do when you have a new employee?
Well, we're gonna find out that she doesn't have to do very much, ultimately.
true.
Yeah. But somebody's life is on the line here, Sarah. We gotta get to business. We
I
can't
guess
be
that's
hand
true.
holding here.
Then maybe it shouldn't be her first day.
Hey, they're low on manpower, I think that's what they say,
Okay.
actually.
That's true. That's fair.
Ginoza says she had bad luck for this being her first assignment. So we're like, already, okay. What's
In the deep end.
Yeah, what is this is gonna get serious pretty quick. Okay. Ginoza's gonna give the rundown. What's the situation, Sarah?
So there is some guy who got scanned by a security drone and his psychopath was the wrong color and he had to receive
Nice.
therapy, but he panicked and ran away. So
Yeah, pretty
dude.
close. Okay. All right. What's going on here? Yeah, so he was flagged by a street scanner. He was just like walking around, minding his own business.
Uh-huh.
And then they're gonna refer to this guy as the target. He's some dude. I don't even know
Yeah.
what his name is. They call this scan on him a Hue check. A Hue check. HUE.
I got very confused by this.
Okay.
Because maybe it's a little bit later, but so there's the hue of your psychopath.
Yeah.
Which indicates if you're a crimey person. But then there's also your crime coefficient,
Yeah.
which indicates if you're a crimey person, but in numbers instead of colors.
Yeah, it's a mystery, Sarah.
Okay.
This is my interpretation. I do not actually know the true mechanics of this technology. So this guy's crime coefficient, we get the reading. It's 126.3.
Which is high, I guess.
I think anything over 100 is considered to be this person will more likely than not commit a crime, something like that.
Okay.
But it's not high enough to be like this person is an immediate, inevitable, massive danger to society. It's like treatable,
Okay.
But then also what comes with the crime coefficient number is a hue check, I guess, which is like some sort of color.
Yeah, it said his psychopath was forest green.
Forest green, yeah.
Which seems like a nice color to me, but they said it meant that his compulsion and aggression should be high.
Yeah. Don't know the scale they're using here.
Not a damn clue. I thought green was a very calming color, but okay.
We're going to get a couple scans of other people as we go, and maybe we can figure it out. I don't fully understand the color system.
And it's not just colors. It can also be cloudy, which is a bad thing.
I think cloudy is just like an adjective to describe your hue as if like it's not a good color.
But I haven't seen any forest green clouds. I'm very confused. But okay.
Well, it's like, okay. If there's just like a range of colors that are considered bad, it's like, what's the word for it? They just call it cloudy. I don't know.
Okay.
Something like that. It's basically like, slang jargon that we're trying to understand. But yeah, 126.3 crime coefficient, forest green.
And he's also maybe on some drugs, I think they told us.
Yeah, and that's going to be important. So I think there isn't necessarily a direct correlation to the crime coefficient and then the color of your scan.
Okay.
It's like the crime coefficient is more like definitive of like represents you in that moment, but the color can be kind of like in which way you're trending in a way. Like if you're cloudy, it's like, oh, you're getting worse. But you could have like a good color and still have a high crime coefficient. I don't know. It's not 100% clear. I don't think it ever fully gets explained in the show, but it's just part of the cool dystopia that I like. Okay. I like that there's just like a number, and it's like, oh, that number's not good. That's the dystopia we live in.
Fair.
We also find out that the target has also grabbed a young female
as a hostage, and he's hiding somewhere in this block of housing, which they said is an abolition block, which never came up again, so I don't know what that means, but presumably it's difficult in there.
I didn't even pick up on the term, but there was something about how they couldn't send in drones, something like that. It was basically just an excuse to say why they couldn't do in a different way, because in later episodes they are going to use drones to kind of like lead the way in certain situations, but for some reason they couldn't use them here. So yeah, Inspector Ginoza explains the situation, and then a truck's going to roll into the scene.
Yes, she calls it a paddy wagon. She's very like, oh, it's a paddy wagon.
This character, Akane, is actually like really smart and really qualified. But she kind of has to be dumb in this first episode.
For our sake, yeah.
Yeah, in order for all the other characters to explain to her, aka the audience, why everything is the way it is.
Exactly.
But she really should know all this stuff already.
Yeah.
I think. So she's very shocked that this truck is rolling in. So Ginoza has to explain to her what's going on. And this truck is filled with enforcers. Do you want to attempt to explain what enforcers are?
Okay. These are people whose crime numbers, crime coefficients, are way above regulation, but they made a deal to be pseudo cops to try and hunt down other people with high crime coefficients. And this guy says they're all deeply disturbed and she shouldn't trust them or something. So it's a great work environment.
Yeah. He refers to them as hunting dogs.
Yes.
Used to trek, basically. Don't think of them as human beings, Sarah. That's what Ginoza says.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Ginoza or maybe the whole system here.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. Ginoza has an interesting backstory that will come up later.
Okay.
Not in the first 2 episodes, but
no.
Yeah.
but one day.
Well, once we see a couple more scans, we can try to like understand the scale of this crime coefficient. There's something about enforcers that I don't know what you do to qualify you for them, or maybe it's just people that got driven into a high, like became a high crime coefficient and were also already in the field of law enforcement.
That is something that I think comes up in the second episode that one of them kind of talks about, and that's kind of what it seems like, but that might not be true for everybody. Like that might just be his story. It's unclear, as so many things are right now.
I got a little bit of like Suicide Squad vibes
yes,
when these people
100%,
rolled in. Yeah.
Yes.
No, they're not being sent to like basically like, you know, they're not like
being sent to like
they care if
what
these
is a
people
suicide
die,
mission.
Yeah. It's better that they die than the inspectors, but it's not they're not actually sending them in to die. They think they're going to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be 4 of these enforcers that come out of the truck.
Oh, you ready for my sweet names for these people?
Okay. I know 2 of them for sure, and maybe one of them, and I forget what the woman's enforcer name is. I didn't write that one down. She's not really in these first 2 episodes very much.
I don't know any of their real names. Here are my nicknames. There's Old Guy. There's Crime Girl. There's Young Crime Guy. And then there's Serious Guy. Bam.
Serious Guy is the guy from the beginning.
He is Gun Guy from the beginning, yes. And that took me a while to figure out.
Okay. So the gun guy from the beginning, the serious guy, his name is Kogami.
Yes.
I would say he also is kind of like the main character in the show to an extent.
The beginning of the show made it seem like he was entirely
I would say him
character.
and Akane are the main characters.
Mm-hmm.
And then the older guy is Masaoka. He is like, as you'd expect, like the veteran guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a younger guy who, as we talk right now, I cannot remember his name, but I wrote it down later in the second episode.
Yes, when he's more prevalent.
The other woman, there's an episode about her backstory at some point, but she does not talk at all in the first 2 episodes, or at least nothing of significance that I wrote down.
She just gives tough girl stares.
Because what's going to happen is they're going to split up into 2 groups. And basically the dynamic is that the enforcers are basically under the inspectors, and the inspectors are in charge of the enforcers.
And Ganoza tells them that they should view Akane as their second owner. And I was like, gross.
Yeah. So they're basically each Inspector Ganoza and Inspector Akane are going to each take 2 enforcers, and then they're going to go searching for this target. Anything else before we split?
One thing that happens here where the younger guy is just like, oh my god, she's so adorable.
Yeah.
He's weird at her immediately. But also she is teeny, stereotypical anime girl, I guess. So she's shorter than everybody, and she's kind of cute, I guess. So that's true. But it's
you
it's
consider this to be
moment.
like a typical anime girl? Interesting.
Well, I mean, is she not like...
She's an anime girl. They're anime guys.
Well,
I mean, we get to meet another woman in the second episode. Is she a typical anime girl?
Well, shall I say like
completely
main
different
character anime girl, right? Like she's cute and petite, right? Like that, is that not the thing? That
I don't know.
That's the thing.
I never thought about it like that.
Okay, from my wide experience in anime, it feels like a thing.
I guess so. I didn't see it. I didn't see like anything strange. Yeah, so they're gonna divide up. The 2 names I mentioned are gonna go with Akane, and we're gonna be
older
following
guy
them around.
and serious guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kogami and Masaoka are going with Akane, and then
we learn about the fancy guns.
Yeah, and this upbeat music starts when just like This is basically it's kind of like the drone that they can use, but it's basically like a fancy box on wheels that stores these guns in them. But these guns are special, Sarah.
Yes.
They all grab one out of this box. I think the box, in future episodes, they'll kind of run alongside the box, and maybe the box will go first, and then they'll grab the guns when they need them. But I think they needed to grab them now in this situation for some reason. So that's why they had that extra explanation earlier.
Yeah, so they could explain them all right now in a calm situation.
Yes, yeah. So they all grab one, and then we get the explanation of these guns. They're called Dominators.
Yes.
You want to attempt to explain This
Okay.
fancy gun.
So first of all, when you pick up the gun, it like authenticates you to make sure you're authorized to use the gun.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hear a voice in your head and your eyes go green for a second because science fiction stuff. But when you point the gun at somebody, it reads their crime coefficient and tells you what it is. And then it tells you if you can shoot them or not. And if the number is high enough to shoot, but not too high, you'll paralyze them. But if it's high enough, you just straight up murder some bitches because the gun said so.
Yes. It won't release the trigger on the gun unless it's pointing at somebody that it deems worthy of being shot.
Yes.
And I forget which character says, but they're like, if it says shoot, then shoot. Simple. That's how they explain it to a guy. Yeah. I am confused about what the lethal number is. I want to say it's like over 200. Although, I don't know. I don't know what the lethal benchmark is, but I think 100 is like
Unclear.
you deserve to be
paralyzed.
Like, temporarily paralyzed by this gun. Yeah.
Oh yeah, temporary.
It's temporary.
An important word
it's temporary. Yeah.
Yes.
It's basically like a stun gun, but
like
it's
it
a
seems
little
to last a while.
Yeah, it's not the equivalent of being tased. It's stronger than that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and one of the weird details that I did not pick up on when I first watched this episode was that the holder of the gun is like the only one that can hear the gun communicating.
Yes.
So like you hear it. Yeah, there's some crazy, like you said, sci-fi nonsense going on. There's also a weird moment here that I didn't notice until later, and I still don't know what this means. But
Okay.
I think before Kogami, the serious guy, even picks up a gun, I could be wrong about this, I think his eyes turn green.
Yeah, I have a note in there that his eyes glow green, and she's all like, oh, super intimidated and like, what's up? But then, like, when she picked up the gun, her eyes did, and I'm like, oh, I guess it's just because he was picking up a gun. But then
I think you're right.
I don't know.
I think you're right. I think I've been seeing this as like, okay, there's like some secret with Kogami going on. I think it's not though. I think you're right. It's like it's something about when you hold this gun, it just like makes your eyes change color sometimes.
Well, you do like see extra things when you hold the gun, right? Like you see the crime number and like some details. So I guess that's what it's doing.
I guess I didn't interpret it that way, but you're probably right. Yeah, it is like that's their actual vision. Like when they're seeing like the like Terminator view of like whatever gun is, it's like enhancing their eyesight somehow. I think you're right. Yeah, because there's a point when I think when the gun decides like not to let you pull the trigger, it might turn red. Their eyes might turn red, and that's when I first noticed it. And I thought it was like some weird thing going on. I think you're right. I think I'm looking too far into it though. It's actually just like it's directly related to just holding this gun. But yeah. The idea here is the enforcers will hunt the target while the inspectors just observe. Yes. They're just like the babysitter. The inspectors are just like the babysitters for the enforcers.
And like she wants to she's like, so what's the plan? And the old dude and serious guy are just like, we're just gonna go do it right now. And she like wants to be strategic. And yeah. Kogami is just like, whatever. If you don't like what we're doing, you can just shoot us. We're criminals too. It's exactly. Fine. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's weird. I guess there's just a weird dynamic because, like, even though she's their superior, it's like they know it's her first day, so they know they're more qualified than her, basically.
Yeah, and she is not speaking with confidence or anything.
Yeah,
like there's no reason to take her seriously right now.
But yeah, basically the guns will actually work on the enforcers. Like if you pointed them at them, their crime coefficients will be high, and the trigger will release. All right. Dare you describe the next scene we get, Sarah?
Okay. The next scene, we're like in a building and it's the target guy and he's like talking to himself or his hostage about how he was just an upright nobody until today, just like they want you to be. And then now he's suddenly treated like a criminal because of the scanner thing, flagging him as a criminal. And so now he won't be able to get a job or get married or whatever. So he might as well just kill anybody he feels like.
Yeah. I think this is important. I think he actually phrases it as like, I might as well just do what I want to do now.
Yeah. So, like, in the beginning of this, like, it feels like you're supposed to get some sympathy for this guy, like, just because he got flagged on this thing, like, his life is basically over. But, like, then he just basically reveals that, like, he wants to do terrible shit anyway. So you feel less bad for him.
Yeah. Basically, what he wants to do is forcibly have sex with a beautiful woman. A beautiful woman.
Yes. That is why he took this hostage. And she's already, like, pretty beaten up. And, then they cut away after he says that that's what he wants to do, and you just assume that's what's gonna happen.
Yes. Terrible stuff about to happen.
So no more sympathy for this guy.
Yeah. So, but does this, how do you feel at this moment about the Sybil system is what this is called, this whole thing that's reading crime coefficients and hue colors and psychopasses, whatever, it's all under the Sybil system.
Well, like, obviously a show like this is supposed to get to the point where it talks about how this is terrible and ridiculous, and they start to, like, lay that groundwork here, but it gets totally undercut by the fact that he is a terrible douchebag and is about to do some terrible shit.
Yeah.
So they gotta grow into their questioning of the system later more.
But at this point, like, what do you think the scan is scanning you? Like, what is it scanning you for? Like, is it like your capacity to do crime? Is it your, like, is it reading your thoughts and the fact that you've thought about doing things? Like, what do you?
Oh, unclear. I don't know what this science is sciencing on.
Yeah.
And, like, the answer to that is, like, changes how you view it, right? Like, because it's just your capacity for crime. Well, just like anybody has a capacity for crime. Like, that doesn't mean you're gonna crime. Which is so, like,
Yeah, that's probably not the right way to phrase it.
Yeah, I don't, but, like, I mean, that's what this is gonna get down to, right? Like, if you watch Minority Report or anything like this, like, that's the big theme, right?
It is different than Minority Report in that this seems, it seems to me, I don't know if it's fully clear even as far as I've gotten in the show. It seemed to me like, almost like, okay, you must have thought about doing a crime or, like, terrible things or something to have a crime coefficient as high as this guy's was,
I guess.
But the only reason he's going to go ahead and do it is because he gets flagged, or was he going to do it eventually? I don't know. It's hard to tell. Like, okay, is the Sybil system a good thing in this specific case or not?
Well, I mean, in this specific case, it directly resulted in this woman getting abducted and assaulted. So probably not a good thing.
But in the old system where there wasn't this, would it have prevented several assaults, that this guy would have done anyway?
Impossible to know.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's an interesting ethical dystopia. That's why I kind of got into this.
Mm-hmm. I think it gets weirder when we get towards the end of the episode where it starts, like, revealing that it's also, like, intertwined with mental health too.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
We'll talk about that when we get there. That's the even weirder part of it.
Yeah. So this scene with this guy and this woman, like, it is truly disturbing. Like, I would be out on this show if the dystopianness of this universe wasn't intriguing, but it kept me going. Just this whole Sybil system idea.
And to be clear, they do not show any, like, actual assault situation in this scene. It's just, like, implied. So, FYI for
I wouldn't say they don't show nothing. But
well, yeah,
it's not. They're not showing the whole process.
Yeah.
But yeah, even as we see her, like, the woman is already in bad shape
and
is freaking out herself, which is an important note.
Yes.
But then we're gonna go to Akane, Masaoka, and Kogami, kind of searching around. But Kogami's kind of, like, doing his own thing, while Akane and Masaoka are kind of walking together and doing, like, the whole kind of
cool hand signals to, like, split up and, like,
and just having dialogue that's helpful to the audience kind of stuff.
Yes, also true.
So Akane's, as they're walking, she's gonna, like, see a guy just, like, sleeping on the streets.
Well, it seems like she gets, like, real startled by it at first, but then is like,
she's on edge.
I don't know. Yeah.
So she, like, turns around and points her gun, but it's just, like, some sleeping guy on the street.
The gun's like, you can't shoot him. Chill out.
This guy is going to have a crime coefficient of 52.1. But the gun says, enforcement action not required. Trigger is now locked. I'm going to have all the specific phrasing of this gun because I think it's important to understand.
And then she points it at old guy's back. for
Yeah, and
science.
Masaoka.
And his crime coefficient is 127-ish. I might have rounded.
Yeah. And the gun says, target is a registered enforcer. So the gun knows who it's aiming at. But then it says, enforce at will. Trigger safety now released.
Yeah, so she can shoot any of these people.
But yeah, enforce at will. That's what the gun says.
And Akane has this like internal monologue moment where she's like, but he seems like such a normal person. How could he have such a high crime number?
This guy, so Masaoka's crime coefficient is actually slightly higher than what the target's was on the routine scan on the street scanner. And Akane, yeah, I guess she's been trained, but she hasn't met somebody that has a high crime coefficient and appears to be normal. And I think what this sets up is just kind of like this idea in this universe that like, regardless of the problems in the system, like it is working to some effect where like people are so just like not familiar with crime at all because the system is working to some degree. So she is actually just like shocked in this moment that somebody could have a high crime coefficient and not seem like a lunatic. Like she just thought that if you have a high crime coefficient, it would be like obvious.
But in her everyday life, is she able to see people's crime numbers? Like I would think not. She just kind of assumes that
I wonder that
everybody
too.
on the street is just fine.
Yeah. I don't think there's any reason to go around scanning people, but it does seem like we'll get to a point in this first episode where like they might just have like the equivalent of, it might just be like an app on your phone that you can actually scan people.
Oh, I thought that was the color, which is different.
It had a
not
number on
quite.
it too, though.
Oh, it did? Okay.
I think.
Weird.
But yeah, in this universe, if you're like a normal citizen, you just kind of assume like, oh, it would be easy to tell somebody that had a crime coefficient. But it's actually not the case. They're going to keep talking. And Masaoka has heard rumors about Akane.
Yeah. She was the top of her class and super smart, but he tells her she should forget everything she learned.
Yeah. Classic old guy.
Yeah. On the streets, there's nothing reasonable that happens.
Yeah.
And all of her training was pointless.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, to be fair, she seemed pretty clueless up to this point, so I'm inclined to agree.
Yeah. I think I can tell you a little bit about Masaoka without it really being a spoiler. Yeah. He's a former inspector that got
he's seen like too much shit.
His hue became too cloudy, and then his crime coefficient got too high, something like that. Yeah, so then he got moved to being an enforcer, basically.
That makes sense.
But he was an inspector for so long that he might have been an inspector before the civil system. I don't know. It's something like he's like kind of familiar with like things before the simple system, it seems like.
Interesting.
Whether or not he was actually working at the time or just alive at that time.
He just remembers a time before.
Yeah. So he's like an old school kind of guy, and we'll get to see him, I think, in the second episode, like kind of show his like old school skills. Confuse Akane a little bit. But then we get they get on the police radio, and one of the enforcers on the other unit has found the target.
Yeah, the young guy is like literally right outside the room.
Yes.
And he's like, I found him. And then the other inspector guy's like, okay, just stay there and watch him, and we're on our way. And he's like, I don't think she's going to survive. So he gets permission to shoot him.
Yeah. It seems weird, like, why he wouldn't act immediately, but I think it's like he literally isn't supposed to do anything unless the inspector gives him permission, basically.
Yeah. But the gun already gave him permission, so really, he should just follow the gun. That's true. What I've learned so far.
Yeah. So the gun is going to rescan this guy, and now his crime coefficient is up to 193.6.
Well, that makes sense, because he is actively doing a crime.
Yes, okay. I agree. I think that makes sense. He's like 80 points higher. Yeah. Still, though, not high enough for lethal force, right?
Yes.
It says enforcement action required. Safety trigger now released. That's the same as it was on the Masaoka. So he fires and hits him with the essentially
paralyzer.
like a taser.
Stun gun, yeah. And it doesn't work.
Yeah. This was weird because it's like the first time that we see the gun in action in the show, and it just like doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
But it's because he's on too many drugs or something.
They explained it by saying he was like on too many drugs to get knocked out by it, so he resisted the paralysis. And then I think the target is just gonna like grab the woman and use her as like a human shield.
And he like jumps out the window or something.
Yeah. Well, before he jumps out the window, I think he aims the gun at him again.
Oh yeah, and it's like, it's time to kill this guy. Go
Yeah.
for it.
And we don't get a number, but the gun is like, target's judgment has been reappraised. Lethal mode activated. And then the gun does this like transformation like
into
animation.
A bigger gun.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know the science behind this gun transformation thing. It kind of looks ridiculous.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, but before he's gonna fire the lethal shot, the guy like jumps out the window with the woman and runs away. So then they have to re-pursue him.
Like, we get a scene of him like running, carrying the hostage, and he's like talking about how cloudy his psychopath is, and he shows it to her. And he shows her own psychopath.
Yeah. And it seemed like he just had a phone, like this was like an app on his phone.
Oh, I guess. I thought he just like took it from her. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure actually.
But he's like, see, yours is almost as bad as mine now. And so it's going to be just as bad for you if they catch us as it's going to be for me. And that confused me a lot. Because why should her psychopaths be bad now?
So I think we get a shot of her looking at the phone, but she's like upside down.
Mm-hmm.
So the phone is upside down. What I saw was that it seemed like her crime coefficient was 110. So she's above 100 now.
Uh-huh.
And her hue color was steel blue. Don't know what that means.
Okay.
I don't know.
Very
what that means.
confused because in the next episode somebody has a different blue color and it's a good thing, but okay.
Not steel blue.
I guess so.
I don't know.
It seems like you just have to memorize all the names of the colors that are bad. There's no like spectrum.
In terms of watching this show, you do not need to understand the color system at all. It helps a little bit to understand the scale of the crime coefficients, but the color system really doesn't matter.
You should be able to look at a color wheel, divide it in half, and be like, these ones are good ones, these ones are bad ones.
Yeah.
And there you go. But it's all the fuck over the place.
Yeah. I can't explain the color system, honestly. But this is a interesting concept that it's like, I think Masaoka is going to kind of explain this to Akane.
Yeah, we cut back to them and he like explains that they have to get to them quick because the hostage's pass is going to be soon beyond the point of no return too. And she says something like, you don't mean psychohazard, do you? Definitely
did
heard that
she?
term before, but that's a thing.
I missed that one.
But the basic premise is that crime coefficients can be contagious. Because that makes sense?
It kind of makes sense. Like, I mean, like, people that have, like, traumatic things that happen to them are probably potentially more likely.
No, it's people who have traumatic things that happen to them have PTSD and need to go to therapy. And, like, real therapy, not quote-unquote whatever this mysterious future doom therapy is. Yeah.
It's not that it's necessarily guaranteed to happen. I just think, like, okay, is it possible? Yes. That's how I would look at it.
Oh yeah. But like that like trauma takes a while to set in and turn into like bad behaviors in theory. It's not like you are getting kidnapped and the longer you are kidnapped, the more evil you are about to be. It's very weird.
Yeah,
and they should reassess their whole science situation.
I don't know if it's, I guess it is some level of like correlation to like evil, I guess you could say.
Or just criminess, whatever.
It's kind of like snowballing for this woman, basically, because kind of similar to how the guy, when he got scanned and had a high crime coefficient, and then it just snowballed for him where he was like, oh, well, I'm screwed anyway. Might as well.
Yeah, but he like wanted to do all these things to begin with.
Now, we're not familiar with this woman's background, but once it seems like, okay, based on the situation, okay, your crime coefficient went up to 110, right? Which is slightly above.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like terrible. Like she can go to therapy in this universe, basically, to fix that.
I'm also still deeply concerned about whatever therapy in this universe is.
Oh, really?
It feels like there's definite quotes around it. And
really?
I'm worried about what that really is.
Yeah, I'm not
Feels
100%
like
sure.
lots of drugs or just I don't know, brainwashing or some like
Oh,
terrible like futuristic break down your psyche and
maybe.
make you conform situation. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. But what I saw is like once he showed the woman her what her psychopath reading was, and she saw that
Hmm.
she was above 100. I feel like it did the same thing. It's gonna do the same thing that it did the guy, where it's gonna like snowball, where she starts freaking out. Not just the fact that she's going through the traumatic experience, but the fact that her crime coefficient is also high now. So it's like multiple things are like
Yeah, but
causing her to go out of control.
she's freaking out about it, and that's like in this feedback loop of making it go higher, I guess.
Yeah,
But I don't think that that's actually making her want to do crime, you know? Like, I don't think she's actually becoming a danger to others. The point at which she arguably does is just because they are chasing her down because she has a high number, not because, like, she inherently wants to crime, you know?
yeah.
So the
Yeah, you're
system's
right.
broken.
I think I felt the same way you did, but since I've watched more of the show and they've explained more about like what's behind the Sybil system a little bit,
Okay.
it like kind of, not that I agree with it, but it makes
Mm-hmm.
sense why she's gonna have the readings coming up that
Okay.
she does. Well, let's keep going.
Interesting.
Yeah, Masaoka's telling Akane that they need to hurry up to save the woman, and then they see the target cross the street in front of them.
And it feels like he's about to tell her the reason that they all became enforcers in the first place, like reveal some big secret, but they get distracted by seeing the target. And we don't get that here.
Yeah. So they chase him down pretty quickly. And then the target is going to use the woman as a hostage again and as a
Mm-hmm.
human shield.
And he's all like, put your guns down or she's going to die. And then they do, and he tries to use the gun, but it doesn't work because it's a science gun and it only works for people who are authorized.
Yeah, this seems like a move that Masaoka has done many times where he just like is like, okay, and he just drops his gun and slides it over to the target. And then the target like drops the woman to pick up the gun, and then he tries to shoot at them, and then the gun's just like not authorized to use. Like I guess the citizens don't know how these dominators work, which makes sense. So now that the woman is not a human shield for the guy, Kogami just comes out of nowhere and shoots his gun at the guy. And what would you say happens to this guy when he gets shot?
Okay, first of all, he's all like, he says some dramatic line like, "You have my deepest sympathies." And then in my
Kogami does?
notes, yes.
Okay.
And then in my notes, I have 3 lines of ellipses, and it says he shoots him in the arm, and then he just explodes. Like this guy fucking explodes for no reason. It's like he expands and then blows up.
Yeah, it's some sort of like molecular nuclear reaction that happens when he gets shot by these.
It is intense.
It is not. I was not expecting that to happen when I watched this.
Nope. And of course, this hostage is highly traumatized by all of the things that have led up to this moment, including the exploding man.
The exploding man that is getting all over her because she was like right next to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, the lethal mode on these guns, like this guy fully explodes here. Do you know where he got hit?
Like it was literally in his arm, like the front of his arm near where he was trying to shoot this gun.
There are other times where like the gun will like, maybe it's like hitting them in the hand or something, and then for whatever reason like only their arm blows up or something. Like somehow they only lose like a limb and they can survive like one shot.
Maybe it has to do with their how high their number is, and his number is just so high that he's got to fully explode.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the science behind this like body explosion gun is, but
I don't think the show is sure on that either.
Something that would be super gross in live action, but I can watch it since it's animated, basically. And the woman is now covered in blood, and she's freaking out even more, understandably.
Mm-hmm. Especially because now the old guy is pointing his gun at her.
Well, first Akane just comes over, and she's like trying to settle her down.
Oh yeah, she's like, "We're here to help," and then her friendo is just like pointing a gun at her. So it's like, that's not helpful.
Masaoka, the old guy, comes over and is like, you should really check her psychopaths. And then he points the gun at her. And her crime coefficient is now up to 162.9. And it says, enforcement action required, but non-lethal.
Yeah, these guns are bullshit. Like, she's just highly traumatized right now. She needs a bath and therapy.
Yeah, so Akane, basically what happens is he's like preparing to shoot her, but Akane is like saying like, wait, you don't have to shoot her, like don't be ridiculous, basically.
Yeah.
But even Masaoka isn't like, to him, he's been doing this for years. He's just like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm shooting her because that's what we're supposed to do, but he knows like they're going to take them to a treatment facility so that she can be treated. Like he they're not shooting her to then like put her in prison necessarily.
I mean, aren't they though? I don't know about this therapy place yet.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm trying to even think of what it is and how much do they show of it. But it seems like people can recover is the idea.
Yeah.
So Masaoka doesn't really. I'm trying to paint this as like, okay, Masaoka isn't like this terrible guy who's using this gun out of line. It's like
he's doing what he's supposed to. Yeah.
He's almost shooting her so that she doesn't actually commit a crime right now while her crime coefficient is high, in a way.
I guess. Yeah. But it's also like you could just be like, hey, here's a blanket. Calm down. Let's go get you some help.
Yeah, and that's what Akane's doing. And that seems a lot more reasonable. But the woman is actually freaking out, and she's going to like back up and like fall down a staircase or something.
Argue, and she kind of sneaks away a little bit.
Yeah, like so she actually runs away. So, which also makes sense because she has a gun pointed at her. But it's interesting. It's obviously if you compare it to like how things work in our world, this seems terrible. But in this world, like, maybe it's not so bad to be shot by a stun gun.
I don't know. We do find out what happens to somebody later, so
yes.
we can talk about that then.
Okay. So the woman's gonna run away.
Yes.
And then this is the state of mind. This is what's gonna happen here is kind of where I'm not sure like what the right thing to do here is, because the serious guy Kogami is going to be the first to catch up to her, but she has like covered herself in like gasoline.
Yeah, she's in a big old pile of gas and has a lighter.
Yeah, and I can't tell, is she, I guess she's preparing to commit suicide, but it also seems like she might be trying to like blow up the building at the same time.
I think
it seems to be more than just
killing herself. She is not super aware of what she's doing, right? Like, she is experienced a whole lot of deep trauma right now.
Yeah.
She's not in a clear state of mind. I think if the rules were not the gun says shoot her, we wouldn't be in this situation, Like, she would not be so desperate to get away if it were not for the rules and the numbers and the cloudy passes or whatever.
Yeah. But it does seem like, I think it's important to point out that like what she's preparing to like light this gasoline basically, and it would kill her, but I think it also would like potentially destroy the building that they're in too,
or at the very least like injure these guys too.
So yeah, Kogami has tracked her down and he's preparing to shoot her, and Akane comes in late and she's like begging him not to shoot. But basically while Kogami has her gun aimed at her, the gun says that her judgment has been reappraised to lethal.
Has to murder this poor traumatized lady because she's been traumatized and can't be fixed, which is ridiculous.
And then Akane, before Kogami can shoot, Akane makes the split decision to shoot Kogami, which is only a paralyzing shot.
Right.
So she hits him and he becomes paralyzed and then saves the woman, basically.
Yeah, so that's when she talks her down from the lighter and is like, see, it's fine. I'm on your side. I shot the guy who was going to shoot you.
And then I think she aims her gun back at the woman and she's been like reappraised to non-lethal at that point. So this is how fast your crime coefficients can change, right?
Yeah, like if they can change that fast, then you probably should never shoot people because
it seems wrong.
You could get them back down to normal levels or semi-normal levels.
Yeah.
But she still doesn't paralyze her. Other inspector guy catches up with them and shoots the hostage.
Oh yeah, he comes
and
out
paralyzes her
and shoots her and paralyzes her.
And he's super disappointed.
Yes, he expects a detailed report from Akane in the morning. And that's the end of episode 1.
Then there's some terrible music I also didn't like again.
It's just, I mean, it's
not a fan of the soundtrack, but it's
interesting. Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, I was super interested by this dystopian future based on this episode, and it is a lot of like explaining like stuff compared to like character development, but I like that pretty much have a grasp, at least, of the basics of this universe in 22 minutes or whatever.
I have a grasp of it, but the details are fuzzy and weird,
Yeah.
and I don't know if they will ever make sense, but that's okay.
It's good that
Yeah.
it's fuzzy and weird because that's part of the intrigue of it.
Well, I just mean, like, why is green bad? Are all greens
Oh,
bad?
you're
No,
really-
not all blues
You're really
are bad.
focusing on the color.
I
I was much more interested in the number.
The number makes so much more sense. The colors are confusing.
Yeah. The ethics of this is like weird. It's like, okay, like how much do you trust this system that it's being accurate, right? And then
I feel like you should not trust it at all, but I also have a problem with
but it seems to be
authority, so I don't know.
working to some degree if like people
But it also wanted to shoot this poor traumatized victim.
yes.
So, not
But
so much.
if Akane had let Masaoka shoot her stunned, she wouldn't have gotten to the point of being lethal. You know what I mean?
But if the system never said she should have been shot, she wouldn't have
Yeah.
been freaking out so much. So, bam.
Yeah, but it's spicy.
It is definitely spicy, yes.
All right. You want to share any thoughts now, or do you just want to go?
At this point, I was like, well, this was episode of exposition. I cannot
Yes.
judge the show by this first episode.
Okay.
So, did not have strong opinions other than at first I was like, she's gonna there's definitely gonna be like some tension with her and like serious guy, but then I remembered the other anime you had me watch and like nobody ever hooks up, so I don't know if that's true. But it felt like there should be some
Yeah.
tension between them.
The show is not categorized as romance, but I don't know if that means it can't have romance.
You don't sound very
Hey, I haven't
like
finished the
you're
show.
like trying to hide anything. Like I feel like somewhere in the first season it would have gotten a little closer to hinting at something if it was there.
Yeah.
So I guess I will
The show is very
not
serious.
think about that anymore.
There's not a lot of time for romance in this show.
Okay.
That's not to say that there isn't anything, but you know,
It just would have been an extra layer of her like
I agree.
questioning the system where she's like, oh, but I'm so attracted to this crime boy, but why is his crime score so high? It would have been, I don't know, I thought it would have been good. But okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Whatever.
Why not throw that? Why not throw the genre in there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you like these kind of dystopian things?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say yes.
I wasn't sure if that because I mean, like Star Wars is dystopia, but it's like so well known that it's almost not.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
There is a silly adventure aspect to a lot of Star Wars that makes it not feel so dystopian, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Are you ready to get to episode 2?
I am.
Less
so
action,
ready.
less explaining.
More jellyfish.
That's exactly what I wrote. It was not clear how to describe this thing that's going to happen, but I wrote jellyfish too.
Yeah, okay. We're on the same
Let's
page.
get to episode 2. Before the credits opening song, we're going to see Kogami is waking up in a hospital bed.
Yeah.
Waking up
so,
from his
like,
paralysis.
This stun is a little bit serious in that he couldn't just get up like 10 minutes later. It's,
Yeah.
you know, a trip to the hospital.
Yeah. Then we go direct after he wakes up, we go directly to Akane waking up. But she's in her home, which I believe is an apartment.
And she's getting woken up by an eldritch horror. No, it's a jellyfish thing.
What was that? What did you say?
An eldritch horror, like Lovecraftian tentacle doom. But no, it's a weird jellyfish, and I don't like this jellyfish. It makes me
You don't like the
uncomfortable.
jellyfish?
It's loud and it's too happy, and at some point, it's wearing a maid's dress.
Oh, was it? I
And-
didn't.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird hologram assistant, I guess,
Yeah.
that wakes her up,
It's a hologram home assistant.
but then like also does other things. I don't know. I was happy once the jellyfish was off screen.
Okay. Yeah, it's annoying, but it's like an automated like thing, you know.
Yeah. But it does tell her that her psychopath is powder blue,
That's
which means
that's a nice ass psychopath there.
she has a top-notch healthy brain, which is
Mhm.
great. But then she like flashes back to the yesterday and the shooting and the not shooting, and she seems upset about it. So it doesn't feel like maybe she has a top-notch healthy brain. She's emotionally distressed, but I'm not a jellyfish, so I can't tell these things.
Or she's just able to handle the stress.
I guess.
Yeah.
Solid, maybe.
But yeah. Then we go to the intro or whatever, and we come right back.
I was worried that this was going to be important again, but it wasn't, I don't think, in the credits.
No, it was the normal
it was just...
intro. Sometimes the intro of like episode 1 of an anime is like different, or might not even be in the anime until episode 2 sometimes, I think. But then it's just like a thing that you can skip, like a normal intro to any other show.
I don't know. There are lots of big guns and bad hair and like blood platelets or something floating around. I don't know. It was not plot intensive.
Sometimes it's like future scenes in the season or whatever. Sometimes it's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get back to Akane's apartment.
With this loud ass jellyfish.
Okay, you didn't like the jellyfish.
I did not like the jellyfish.
But did you like this apartment though?
It's interesting because she gets to like decorate it however any day because I guess everything's just a hologram.
Yeah, so well, I think it has a base. And so when Akane wakes up, you kind of see the apartment in reality, which is like it's super dull.
Yeah.
And it's just like a normal bed with gray walls and a basic ass couch or whatever. And then the jellyfish asks her like, what's your desired room preference for the day?
And she picks some like hotel or something.
It's some sort of castle theme. It seemed to be like maybe it's something from a video game or something. I'm not sure. And then the apartment gets completely transformed into like this fancy ass castle. Like on the walls, and the couch changes and the bed changes.
Cool. But like it's just hologram nonsense. So like that shitty couch is still gonna feel like a shitty couch. It's not magically not a shitty couch.
It could be a comfy couch that looks shitty.
I guess.
But yeah, I thought this was pretty cool.
Clipping through the hologram all the time and it would ruin the effect. But I don't know.
But you didn't like this. I thought you might like this. It's like cool world building stuff.
But like, I mean, I gotta break everything. I'm sorry.
It's what?
Because then like I always have to find the edges where it like doesn't make sense or like breaks or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But like, because she changes her clothes in the same way later, and I'm like, so is everybody just naked and wearing holograms? Like this is.
I think we saw her
like,
real clothes.
But she does like change it through like I don't know. The hologram system seems sketchy.
All right, let's get through this scene.
Okay.
Then you can complain about every aspect of this.
I don't mean
Here we go.
It's just okay.
She's gonna take a shower, and then while she's taking the shower, the jellyfish is going to ask her for her breakfast order.
But not
which is
only
nice.
That,
that's nice.
The jellyfish is like, you had this many calories yesterday, so you're allowed this many calories this morning.
But it's just like a recommendation. I don't think it's like.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
It's not like The Island or whatever. Like if you've seen that
right.
movie where like they're on strict diets to meet their like clone requirements or whatever. Although she does, it does recommend like 240 calorie breakfast or something, and then Akane's like, just make it 200. So she didn't actually get more than what was recommended. So I don't know if she's allowed to go higher.
But she did get to choose like what she wanted, Chinese style breakfast or something. I think she said.
Yeah,
I forget.
Yeah, whatever 200 calories of that is what she ordered.
And the jellyfish made it while she was in the shower. So that's nice. Points for the jellyfish. I do wish. Well, I don't wish I had a jellyfish to cook for me, but it'd be nice to have to not cook for myself.
I'm gonna guess. This is just a guess. We don't get to see it. I don't think it has to be a jellyfish. I think this is what Akane chose her helper to be.
Oof. She should make better choices.
This is something Akane enjoys, is the jellyfish.
Okay. Oh,
you can make it whatever you want.
I'm not vibing with the jellyfish. It's too much for me.
The jellyfish is going to tell Akane the weather for the day. And then Akane's going to walk over to a mirror. And then she's going to bust out this... What would you call this? I said like a makeup kit or almost like a...
Yeah, like a little compact.
It's a little handheld makeup kit out of her pocket, except it's like a digital device that she's like selecting with her finger, and it's just changing her outfit with whatever she selects on this device.
Yeah.
So her clothes that people see are actually like a holographic projection somehow.
Yeah.
We're assuming it's holograms.
Yeah, it's weird future science nonsense. Who knows?
It could not be holograms. It could be something more advanced.
Yeah.
But so she like goes through a bunch of different outfits, and then she finally chooses one. But before she hits anything on there, we do see her wearing clothes, but you thought those were like
I just
also the
assumed it
hologram
was,
clothes.
yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I
Who
would assume they
knows?
would wear real clothes underneath, but they
That
would just be
probably
like,
makes sense.
yeah. Or maybe you have to wear the hologram clothes specific to be able to interact with the device. I don't know.
Oh, who knows? Weird. Unclear.
And then after she chooses an outfit, Akane's gonna leave the apartment. And as soon as she closes the door, the entire apartment just like shuts down and all the apartment goes back to being like dull.
Yeah.
And the jellyfish goes away.
Hmm.
So it's an efficient system, Sarah.
Ooh, but the jellyfish also did give her a supplement to avoid mental contamination. So
Oh, I missed that. Okay.
yeah.
That's
All
probably a thing
people are
that like
taking drugs, I
everybody
guess.
takes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Darn. I thought you would like this scene. I think it was cool.
I mean, it is cool if it's not a hologram and it's some sort of like weird programmable matter or something. That
What
would
if
be
it
cool.
was just a voice without a body that was like in your
Oh
house?
wait, you thought I'd like the jellyfish?
Not specifically the jellyfish, but to me the jellyfish was just like whatever, this is the mechanism. Like I didn't think anything about the jellyfish.
I would not mind a virtual assistant that made me breakfast, I guess.
What is Iron Man's? If you had a Jarvis
Sure.
or whatever the second Jarvis was.
Yeah. I just need something chill in the morning. I cannot wake up to this excitable ass jellyfish. That's too much. I'm tired.
Yeah. Okay. If it was Jarvis, you'd be fine. But all the other stuff, the clothes changing, clutch as hell.
Yeah.
That'd be so nice. They still have to take showers. That's the downside. I don't.
Showers are great. What are you talking about?
I mean, I'd prefer to do other things, but
Okay. I like a nice long showers. Relaxing.
even if you never needed to shower, you would still shower.
Yes.
Ooh, that's a hot take.
I mean,
Interesting.
it's pleasant.
Okay.
Is it not? What kind of showers are you taking? Like, get the hot water, it's steamy, it's nice.
It's not that it's unpleasant. It's just like, oh, I'd rather be doing something else.
Okay.
And then if I was going to enjoy something, like you'd rather do like a hot tub or
Yeah, I was
there are
gonna
more
say, like, you never
pleasurable
had
things to do with water than take a shower.
a nice soak in a tub is also nice. No,
Yeah,
that
that makes more sense than a shower, I think. Showers are
Does
like
it?
exist to be convenient, I would say. I don't know.
But they can also be relaxing.
Yeah. I can relax without a shower though, so I
Okay.
can do something
Well,
else.
I would enjoy a shower regardless of what the future brings.
Do I want to relax every time I take a shower? No, I just need to take a shower. So I'd like to have the option to not have to take a shower.
Okay.
But in this universe,
Fair
they
enough.
still have to take showers. They haven't.
Okay.
There's no nanobots that can like clean them in 2 seconds or whatever they wanted to come up with.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they don't have to take showers and she's just taking a shower.
Yeah. She wanted to have a nice, relaxing
I
morning.
don't think it would exist in her apartment if it wasn't
that's
something
true.
they needed.
It's small as hell in there.
Maybe the shower is like just a projection and it's just like a relaxing experience.
Maybe. You can
All
reprogram your
simulated.
apartment, your one room in the apartment to be anything. It can sometimes be a shower.
Yeah,
Sure.
there you go. But here we go. Akane's not going to go to work right away because she has lunch with 2 friends. She seems like she has like the afternoon to into night shift or something for
Mhm.
work. Yeah. 2 friends. I think these 2 friends are like the equivalent of like high school friends.
Yeah, they've been friends for a long time, I think. Like, from before, anyway.
And they're just talking about mostly like Akane's like first day on the job.
Mm-hmm.
And we gather that her 2 friends are like, they're pretty much jealous of Akane because she
Yes.
never receives any psychological care, but she is in perfect mental health.
Yes. She's like complaining about her first day and like she's upset that she messed up, and her friends are just like, well, you can't be that upset. Your psychopath is clear. And it's like, okay. Still don't understand these things, but sure.
My takeaway when I watched this was like, okay, this is Akane's superpower. You know, she's basically like she is not affected by stress in the same way that most people are, is the idea, I think.
Is it that she's not affected by stress, or is there something about her that makes her psychopaths not read her appropriately?
Could go either way.
Because that's more what I thought. Because she does seem like upset about what happened the day before. Because she's like constantly like reliving it and second guessing what she did, and I don't know. That reads to me as her being upset about it. Not enough to like make her incapable of going about her day, but I don't know.
Yeah, you're on it. Those are the two things that I thought when I was watching this as well.
Okay.
I don't even know if I've gotten far enough to know the answer to that question yet.
Fair.
But yeah, the mystery of Akane continue. But there's something else that her friends are jealous about, because Akane also had the choice to choose whatever job she wanted.
Yes. They said she would be perfect for like a top tier like economics job or something, but she went for this public safety bureau. What was she thinking?
Yeah. It sounds like basically this is also, I think, part of the Sybil system, which is basically like once you graduate school or whatever, they give you like aptitude tests, and then the Sybil system will essentially just tell you what your job is.
Yes. But in Akane's case, she has many things to pick from.
Yeah, she was like essentially like a perfect score, or like she passed every aptitude test, so she could choose whatever she wanted to do. And then her friends get annoyed when she's like, she doesn't say she's gonna quit, but she gives the vibe that she's like thinking about already quitting the PSB.
She's like, maybe this isn't for her. Yeah.
They're like, that's crazy. Like, I wish I could just quit what I got assigned by this system.
Yeah.
But ultimately, her friends are supportive of her.
Yeah.
They're nice
At the
friends.
beginning of this, I was like, shitty friends. But it does kind of end with a pep talk. Like, they're like, you can do it. You'll be all right. You'll figure this shit out. And it's like, okay, I guess they're not the worst.
And then one of the friends is explaining the Sybil system's kind of like logic when they assign jobs. And their like motto is, what needs to be done is done by those capable. That's the line that they feed the public. Doesn't not make sense, Sarah.
Yeah, I guess. Sure. It feels like it can be used as an excuse for a lot of things, but sure. Okay.
Yeah. In terms of just assigning jobs, it's certainly efficient.
If not satisfying for everyone involved.
No idea what the Sybil system would assign my job to be, but
Ooh.
Probably whether or not you like or hate the system will come down to whatever job you get assigned.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
You have good vibes about it if it's treated you well.
Yeah, if it gives you what you thought you would do anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to interview for those jobs. You just get it. Feels good.
Just getting a job does feel nice.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
But she's done with the lunch, and she's gonna head on to work.
She changes into her office clothes in the street because it's the future and you can do that.
She doesn't have to get out of her clothes. They just change to her work clothes using the makeup digital device.
Yeah. Super
sweet. I wish I could have this device. Not sure if you have to purchase the outfit options.
Oh, it's just dystopian future. 100% you have to
so?
Pay for all those unlocks. Yeah.
This dystopian future seems like it's not supposed to necessarily be like a crazy
capitalist nightmare.
Yeah, it's not like it might be like a more socialist kind of system where everybody can choose whatever outfit they want. Like they built this system for the public essentially.
Maybe.
But I don't know. The outfits aren't necessarily part of the Sybil system. It could just be a separate product entirely.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't know if you can even buy real clothes in this world anymore. So I don't know. Do you just buy the one program that has clothes, or do you have to buy the program that has clothes and then buy the clothes that are in the? Is it a microtransaction clothes wearing scenario?
Extra season that is just all about the fashion of this world and the mechanics
You'd love
behind
that, Sarah.
it.
You'd love
I might actually.
The world building, yeah.
Yes. Just give me detailed about how everything works.
I thought that apartment scene was like the coolest world building thing that I've seen in a long time. So I thought you were going to like it.
I just need them to explain it so I can know if the couch
You just need to know how it
not.
works, okay?
Yeah, I need to know how authentic that cool fantasy couch was,
Gotcha, okay. So she's going to head inside. She's going to go to a room that is labeled the Comprehensive Analysis Laboratory. Analysis Laboratory. Let me say that again. The Comprehensive Analysis Laboratory. What's going to happen in this room, Sarah?
Well, first, someone's coming out that she runs into, and I think it is Crime Girl from the previous episode.
The name I did not write down. They just have a stare down and then walk away.
Because she never speaks.
I think it's supposed to set the vibe that, I think we're supposed to think is like, oh, okay, Akane just shot an enforcer on her first day. So there's reason to believe that like all the other enforcers might be pissed at her
Oh,
because it's just
that
like
makes
they could have
sense.
been shot just as much as the other guy got shot.
I didn't think of it that way. I thought of it as she's just too cool and badass to talk to anybody. But I don't know.
That's possible too. I feel like you're right, but Akane in this moment is supposed to be thinking that like
Yeah,
all the enforcers are mad at her.
that makes sense. But then she comes in and there is a woman putting her stockings back on or something.
Yeah.
So I think we're supposed to believe that this woman and crime girl just had sex in this room. I'm assuming that's
Oh,
what I'm
that's
taking
an
away
interesting
from this.
question.
Because
Yeah, that's
why else is she
possible.
putting her stockings back on?
That's possible. You think
I think yes.
you
I
think
think they were
that
hooking up.
you think that woman could have had sex and then walked out of the room so serious like that?
100%.
Okay.
I mean, I know it's a bit of a trope at this point that I'm just like, oh, yep, they're boning, or they should be boning. But I think that that's what happened here.
Okay. I cannot confirm that that is the case or not. I guess I might have thought about that for a second, but then I was like, it's probably
It's
not
like,
in the
why
show.
else is she putting on stockings? Like, literally, no one else in this world gets dressed other than by pushing a button. So, like,
So this
that,
let
that's
me
it.
let me maybe come up with another theory by explaining
Okay.
who this woman is. So this woman in the analysis lab
Well, she's blonde
is,
and she has big boobs. The show makes sure to point that out to us.
yeah, they make it seem like Akane's like really eyeing her up from like head to toe a little bit. So this is analyst Shion Karanamori. Shion Karanamori. I think they're going to refer to as Karanamori more often than not in this show.
Okay.
But what I think we're going to find out about this woman is that she is also labeled as a latent criminal, the same way that the enforcers are. I believe she
Yes.
says this.
But she seems to be taking more of a like in-house role, I guess. She's not like out on the streets. She's doing like
She's the person at the computer that always
Yeah.
helps the people that are out in the field. Basically, she's like the hacker.
she works
or
in the lab. Yeah.
Yeah. But how would you describe this woman? I am very confident is what I wrote down.
Oh yeah. Big personality. She tells Connie that she is cute and has big balls.
Yes, that's what I wrote down.
Um,
Or shooting Kogami specifically. Is what
yes,
she's
on her
referring to.
first day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she is exactly the kind of character I would expect to have been boning a coworker in her office. Like yeah. Everything they tell me about her, I'm like, yeah, this makes sense to me.
And if they're both like already labeled latent criminals, there's like, they probably
Like, who
give less of a
cares?
shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's possible. She's also going to say that, oh, Akane, you must be on the fast track if you're already an inspector. So like, it's just another moment of like, okay, Akane is like
So special.
pretty special in terms of her academic success. And like someone right out of high school or whatever this isn't normally an inspector apparently.
Mm-hmm.
The other weird thing about these latent criminals, like enforcers, and then this analyst woman, is like, I don't know if they're allowed to leave work. I don't think they are.
Yeah, I think we find out later that they aren't.
So, like, she might have just been getting dressed for the day because this might be where she lives.
guess.
That was my other.
Well, there's got to
thing.
be like a dorm room somewhere, like I feel like
yeah, I
maybe
can't
they
say
live
that
on
I've
a
seen
different
that.
floor. But
Yeah, there must be somewhere where they sleep. Now she has like a couch in this analysis lab,
Mm-hmm.
which makes it seem like, oh, maybe she just sleeps on this couch. But yeah, there's something I don't fully understand where these latent criminals that are working with law enforcement necessarily sleep or live outside
Yeah.
of work.
But she's like in charge of serious guy's medical situation right now for whatever reason. And that's the whole reason Akane's here. Like she wants to check up on the guy she shot.
Yeah, she just wants to know, is Kogami okay?
Yeah.
And then the analysis woman explains that she managed to hit Kogami directly in the spine, apparently.
And that made a big difference. So he's
So-
going to be like out of commission for an extra
Be
day.
paralyzed a little bit longer than normal.
And I think she even says like he's not going to be up for a good time in bed. You know what I mean? And like Akane does not return that sentiment at all.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I don't know. I didn't really like read too much into it when I first watched it, but it's like, now this analysis woman seems to be like, sex is at the top of her mind all the time.
Yeah.
Like she's trying to make everything sexual. But they made it seem like, oh, she like looked at her face and then like judged that she might be interested in Kogami, maybe like what you're saying.
Yeah.
Which is why she implies that like she won't be able to have sex with him anytime soon.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe you're right actually about this Akane and Kogami thing.
I mean, sure, maybe. If not, it should be a thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like a key part of the show, but it might be there, and I've just like not been focusing on it.
It's not important to you, so it doesn't register. Got it.
It's not as like, yeah, it's not that important yet, I would say.
Regardless, Kogami will be better tomorrow, so she can go and talk to him then if she wants to. And she just seems to feel super guilty about having shot him in the spine.
Yeah. Then we're gonna head over to the inspector / enforcers offices / cubes, I guess. It's like,
yeah, it seems like they all share a space, like an office space.
And the inspector's desks don't seem to be any fancier than the enforcer's desk, which I thought was interesting. And they don't have like their own private offices. They're just like, they seem to be pretty equal in terms of their resources in the office.
Yeah.
And then we get similar vibes, I feel like, here, where like Akane is trying to get some work done, and then she's looking at the enforcers and they're just like totally ignoring her, and they're not even, I don't know if the enforcers have any like paperwork to do or if they're just like waiting around for something to happen, because I think the serious girl is like just like reading something, and then the other younger guy is just like playing a video game.
Yeah,
so I don't think they have like responsibility outside of tracking.
Well, I think we do find out that their shift is over in a little bit, so maybe they're just like running out the clock, I think is what's happening here. But yeah, I assumed that she's writing her report, but it's in Japanese, so I don't know what anything she typed said.
But then the old guy's gonna come in, and he's showing up for his shift, I guess.
And he's like, hopefully we'll have a chill day. And then immediately the alarm goes off.
The alarm goes off, and then there's going to be an elevated psychopath somewhere in the city that they have to go check out.
Time to go shoot a guy or something. Yeah.
And then Inspector Ginoza isn't there, so it's just going to be, I think you're right, yeah, the other two their shift is over, so it's just going to be Akane and Masaoka, the old guy, because Kogami is still out of commission.
Yep, because she shot him in the spine.
And then the flagged area ends up being a mall. They go to the mall.
And they like dress up like the cutesy RoboCops.
Yeah, using the same technology, I believe, as the changing your clothes.
Yeah, so I think they do refer to it as a hologram in this part.
Yeah, they do. They call it a hollow suit. But they call it a hollow suit when it's like covering their whole body.
Yeah, so maybe it's different than the clothes.
I'm not sure. It probably is the same though. Now this was weird, like they're basically like, oh, we know the guy is in the mall, but we don't know who it is. That seems like it doesn't add up to me. Like
if you scanned his pass, you should like know what it is.
You should know the identity of the person. Yeah. Like that should be simple enough. But what they're setting up this moment that Masaoka is going to have, where they're not supposed to know who they're looking for, but they're just like kind of going through the mall and trying to scan people. Yeah.
Sniffs him out, really.
Yeah, he like walks in and just like looks at some shifty guy around a pillar and is just like, yeah, that's our guy.
Well, I mean, he is literally like being shifty and hiding behind a pillar, so I don't know that this takes the years of experience he has in the field, but okay.
But I think this is important to the world building because, like, to you and me, it's actually like obvious that this guy is being sketchy, but Akane actually cannot tell that this guy is being weird because like this guy Masaoka is like has this old experience where he has relied on his being an inspector in the past and using these skills, but Akane is just like the system just tells you if people are being sketchy, so you don't really it's not like a skill that you go about your daily life like trying to avoid people, because you just like assume anybody you walk by is like they've walked by X amount of scanners already and they've already been approved essentially, so you don't have to be wary of,
don't have to have any street smarts,
it's not a skill set that she has. Yeah, and it's not a skill set that any citizen has basically in this world. Also want to talk about, I feel like in this dystopian future, like all of Japan for the most part is like a city almost.
Oh, I just assumed that they were just not leaving the city. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there is non-city areas, like they have to still harvest food and stuff, but like there's a thing in the laters where like the farming system is like fully automated and like doesn't require any humans.
Oh, nobody lives
So
out
it's
there.
like I feel like almost the entire country is a city almost at this point.
Hmm.
I'm not sure though.
Okay.
But yeah, Masaoka points out this guy and it's like, that's our guy. And then he walks up and they scan him.
Or they asked to scan him, and he just like freaks the fuck out immediately.
Yeah. And then do they even point their gun at this guy?
I don't think
know.
so.
I think they just arrest him. At some point they must have, because I think Akane like confirms that, oh yeah, he's the guy.
I think like after the old guy like tackles him, basically.
Yeah, he basically arrests him in like an old school way.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't even
And
use
he's
the
like,
Dominator.
You're in need of emergency therapy. Let's go.
Yeah. I think they do confirm that at least this guy had a high crime coefficient before they took him in. But yeah, they don't even have to use the Dominators. Easy peasy. That was an easy one. I think that was just to set up Masaoka's skills.
Yeah.
Essentially, was that scene.
And Akane's like super impressed with him. And he's like, the key is being able to think like a criminal. But if you can think like a criminal, the system thinks you're a criminal.
Yes, something like that, yeah. And also Akane is also going to feel like after the experience last night and then this experience, she's starting to feel like useless. Because like essentially she's just babysitting the people that are doing the actual job. So she feels like, what's her purpose of being here if this is all she's doing, you know?
And she more or less says that to him, and he's like, that's it. That's your job. You just go watch me do stuff. That's it.
Yeah, he says, well, we need you to be here so that I can be here. Because like he wouldn't be allowed to be there if she wasn't there. So he tries to justify it a little bit, but it's not.
It did not help her feel better.
Yeah, it was not comforting at all. So they're going to head back. And then I believe Akane is going to be eating dinner at work
in like
the
cafeteria. Office cafeteria. Yeah. And young crime guy joins her.
Yeah, the young enforcer. I think his name is Kaguri, but not 100% sure. And he kind of explains like, oh, the enforcers aren't allowed to leave, so that's why he has to eat in the cafeteria. I don't know exactly what their limits are, where they can and can't go.
Yeah.
And then like he's like kind of hitting on her too, right?
Yeah, he's like trying to apologize for earlier, but he's also like, but seriously, you're really cute, and it's only like badass scary ladies around here. It's nice that you're so cute. It's like, okay, calm down.
This is like cliche anime character right here. There's always one character that has to like always be talking about this, but it's not that much different than the analysis lady, except it's just like, because they're it's a guy, it comes off way creepier, I think. But he basically just wants to know, okay, why did you choose to work at the PSB, which is the Public Safety Bureau, I believe?
Yes. And yeah, this is where she explains that she got an A ranking for all 13 ministries and for 6 companies. And the reason she picked this one is because for all the other jobs, she wasn't the only one who got an A ranking, but for this one she was. So she thought there must be something that only she could do. But for me, that was like, oh, she just needed to feel special.
Oh, I thought it was I thought it was a good reason. I mean, like, yeah. I mean, obviously she didn't have any like specific preference or like didn't feel like a job necessarily fit her personality, but like, yeah, I would feel similar to her. I think like, oh, I'm the only one that got an A rank for this specific job. Maybe this is what I'm meant to do. And I think it's a high end job too. It's not like she chose like some crappy job with an A rank, you know.
But didn't she kind of choose? Like, it feels to me more like she might be the only one who got an A ranking here because anybody else who didn't bother. But maybe not.
No, it's not necessarily like the best job in terms of like, maybe it's not the most prestigious, but it's like the most fulfilling, I think, is the idea. Like she feels like she can make a difference in the world at this job, and nobody else has ranked as high as her, so she feels like, okay, this is what I was meant to do. I thought it was pretty good logic. I was like, okay. I'm very interested, and still, even though I watched so much of the show, like, what is Akane's role in this world?
Yeah.
And after all this explanation, Kaguri is basically just like pissed off and jealous, like kind of like like her friends were, except her friends were supportive in the end. But he's just like angry.
Yeah, because she's still like looking for meaning or whatever, and he's just really pissed off at her first world problems.
Yeah,
Because she like
essentially. Yeah.
got flagged as a criminal when he was 5, and now he's just fucked, and like so this is all he could do.
Yeah, he didn't
It's
have any
like this is
choice.
it.
And she could do whatever she wants.
Yeah, and she's still kind of complaining about it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just going to continue to be a theme for a little while. Is
A little
people
while,
get
yeah.
annoyed at her having feelings about her job.
Yeah. Kaguri's not a terrible guy, but he doesn't come across good in this first 2 episodes. Then Akane is gonna go back to Kogami's bed where he's still asleep.
Yeah.
But then Kogami's gonna wake up while she's
And
there.
she immediately apologizes.
Yeah. And then Kogami's response is, "You don't see a lot of inspectors apologizing to enforcers."
and he's all like, "It was your decision. It's not my place to complain." And it's like he's just like full on in this role of I don't get to have opinions about things.
He legit doesn't seem mad though. It's not like he's like actually mad, but he's pretending like he's not because he's being professional. He like legit just doesn't seem upset about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we find out not only he's not mad about it, but he's actually like kind of glad that Akane shot him because it made him kind of feel like re-spark this old motivation that he had in him, where he wanted to do some good with whatever his job was.
Because he's just like been an enforcer for so long that he's just blindly followed whatever the gun tells him to shoot, he shoots. And he says he forgot that being a detective is about helping people.
Yeah.
So he thinks she did the right thing, and that makes her cry.
Kogami also used to be an inspector, I believe.
Ah, okay.
Or they use detective and inspector. I think they're interchangeable. They're the same thing, but I'm not. Maybe there's some sort of hierarchy. But yeah, essentially Kogami wants to be more like Akane, and he decided this like only meeting her once, barely talking to her. This makes Akane start to tear up with happiness, I think, is the idea.
Yeah. Well, not just that he wants to be like her, but also that like she's been agonizing over if she did the wrong thing or not, and he's validating.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
So she feels good about it.
I was thinking that she felt like she finally made a difference. Like she made Kogami.
Oh yeah, that too.
Finally, I feel like I might be supposed to be here. Like everything, the first 2 days so far was just like maybe I made a terrible choice in choosing this job. Yeah.
But then she like tries to like comfort him. She's like, "Oh, you wouldn't have shot her if you had time to think about it." And he's like, "I'm not so sure. I was only thinking that I didn't want to die and I have unfinished business," or whatever he says. I don't know. He's got some shit to do.
Got some unfinished business, Sarah. Here we go. And then Akane actually thanks Kogami, and then Kogami's like, "You also don't see many inspectors thanking enforcers." So it seems like a lot of the inspectors are a lot like the other inspector we met, Ginoza.
Yeah. Just like, these are garbage people. Don't care about them.
Already standing out.
Mm-hmm.
You at least like Akane, Sarah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, good. There we go.
She's the only sensible character so far, because she's actually questioned the system.
Yeah, she seems still like rooted in kind of like the modern day approach, but she also has lived in the system where she doesn't fully understand. Like, she's not like the old guy where she can't identify criminals by looking at them, or she can't even tell if somebody's being suspicious, but she still has this innate like feeling of just protecting people.
Maybe you don't have to shoot everyone.
Yeah, protecting people unless they actually do something wrong. Yeah, not just relying on the scan. So Kane finally got some positive feedback with this conversation with Kogami.
Yep.
So she's going to go hand in her report to Inspector Ginoza. She's going to stand by her actions.
Yeah, she's going to write that she did the right thing. We do find out that the hostage is actually getting better in therapy. Still don't know what therapy means, but okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they say the woman's elevated crime coefficient was only temporary, which is what we saw already. And then the woman's psychopath is already recovering with therapy. Yeah. So it doesn't say fully recovered, but
in a process, yeah.
Yeah, I am not sure what therapy is fully.
It just, because it's a dystopian like future, I just assume it's terrible.
Yeah, I guess I assumed it was just like talking to somebody, but I guess maybe it's not. I'm trying to remember if there's anything shown with that, but I think there is definitely like if you're like within a certain range, like there's no going. They do rule you as like there's no going back, but I don't know if they specifically showed us what any of the therapy is.
I'm just gonna assume it's brainwashing.
Okay.
I don't trust this dystopian future.
And then Kogami's back at his desk, and Inspector Ginoza is like, "You wanna add anything to this report?" And then Kogami just like backs up everything. Akane just
Well, I mean, all he says is
no
like,
complaints.
she fulfilled her duty.
Yeah, something like that. But he doesn't
That's
complain
it.
about it. You know what I mean? He doesn't say
Yeah.
like, she shot me and it was the wrong choice or something.
Yeah, but I feel like she lights up a little bit like when
Yeah.
he says something nice, but it's just like, it's not even a nice thing. It's just such a matter of fact statement that it's like baseline.
Yeah.
Fine, good enough.
But to Akane, that's a win. And that's
Yep.
the end of episode 2. Here we go.
Yes.
We did it. I liked how these like first 2 episodes kind of got everything out there. I felt like I had a good grasp of this world.
Yes. Other than the nitpicky things that I want to know way too much about, yeah, they gave a good overview of how this world works.
But yeah, where were you at, Sarah?
I could watch more. I don't feel an overwhelming motivation to get to it right now, but I wouldn't be opposed to watching more of it.
Okay.
It's a solid okay. I hope the jellyfish never shows up again. But other than that,
that's not jellyfish.
Nothing
not
really like nothing really like turning
if
me
it
off
does,
about
it's
it.
not important. It's very small.
I just really didn't like the jellyfish.
You didn't like the jellyfish.
I don't know, I just
But if
didn't
that was your
like it.
apartment, what would it be? Just a voice? What animated thing would you want?
It would be a little cute ghost, like a
That's basically what it was. Some
No.
pink ghost that kind of looked like a jellyfish.
No. It would be way chiller, and it would probably have a cool accent, like an Australian accent or something.
A high squeaky voice is probably not where you'd want to be.
Yeah, that's probably
You'd want
mostly
some
what
sort of
drove me crazy. about
Calming,
it.
yeah, some sort of calming thing. That was the only high squeaky voice in the whole show,
Yeah.
though, right? Yeah.
So good job, show, for only subjecting me to one high squeaky voice.
I was looking for that when I was finding a
I
show.
appreciate you. But yeah, I may watch more of this. Solid maybe.
So the way the show kind of breaks down is that there's kind of going to be a series of crimes that this unit, this Inspector Ginoza, Inspector Akane are kind of like one of the units. There's other units.
Mhm.
I think they're like Unit 1 or whatever the highest. They're like the
Okay.
most important
The
unit.
best.
Like
unit.
Akane is already on in like the best unit, but they're gonna investigate like other serious crimes, like murders going on essentially in the city.
Okay.
And each crime might take like maybe like 2 episodes, maybe 3 episodes to kind of like get through that arc of that crime.
Mm-hmm.
But then in the background, there's gonna be like whatever Kogami's like kind of like unfinished business is kind of part of this, and then there's gonna be like a theme or like something that all these crimes are kind of together somehow, even though they seem independent.
Okay.
And then that's gonna lead you to like what the IMDb page said, where there's a person or people that the system does not read them as
Mhm.
criminals, even though they definitely should be. And then they have to come up with new strategies of how to do that.
And then we find out in the end that she is one of the people, maybe.
Maybe. I
That's
don't
where
even know.
I think it's going.
That is definitely, yeah, you're right. Like even in the first couple episodes, like that's kind of how I felt too. But I actually don't know. And then at some point at that like 2/3 mark in season 1,
Mm-hmm.
it's not. It takes like a Westworld kind of vibe, and
Oh.
like not in like a bad way.
Like in a time nonsense way? Or
It's like it adds on to the dystopia of the world. I wouldn't say it's
okay.
necessarily. It's not really the same as Westworld in terms of why Westworld is dystopia.
Okay.
Oh no, just give me like a Westworld kind of feel
Okay.
in a good way, not whatever. I'm not a huge Westworld fan, so there's things about it I don't like, but in the
Yeah.
good stuff about Westworld.
Interesting.
So yeah, I think it's worth. I thought it was gonna like maybe it's like okay, once the coolness of this dystopia wears off, it's just gonna be a blah show, but it actually continued to surprise me.
Good to know.
Yeah, I will update you as I go on this show.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see if I get around to watching any more episodes or not. I don't know. Can't say for sure.
Do you think if this was just a live action of the exact same concept, you would just think it's better though?
Yes.
Okay. Because I actually kind of feel like, especially the gruesomeness of some of these scenes, like there is no way I'm watching a live action version of this.
Yeah, I wouldn't want a super gross situation.
Yeah, I like really only could watch this as it is right here. But I don't know. The anime style just kind of works for me. It's whatever.
Yeah, I get it. Like the dude exploding would be way grosser if it was a live action situation. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah. But even outside of that, there's something I'm just thinking about, like, okay, what can I do to find an anime that you actually just like, not just like, oh, it was good enough. Like,
Hey, I liked that one that I watched before we started the podcast.
Yeah, that's what so that one is like, it's like a female lead in a cutesy romantic rom-com.
But they never did any smooching. Like, they never got to that point, and that makes me sad.
It's not romance until they kiss. That's what Sarah said.
No, it's just like that's where the conclusion should, like, they gotta, instead of building to nothing, is the only complaint I had about that, but I still enjoyed that show.
Go read the manga, Sarah.
Do they smooch in the manga?
I bet you there's more. There's just, they didn't make it into an anime.
But okay, there might be more, but is there smooching?
Oh, that's a good question.
Important question.
That's a good question, yeah.
There could just be more of them never actually getting into a relationship.
If you want to watch Rent a Girlfriend, may or may not be smooching in that one.
But that's not authentic smooching because they're pretending, right? I need authentic smooching.
Pretending at first.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay.
That one is more of a male lead, though. I was thinking about that, like, okay, if we watch another anime rom-com with a male lead, is it going to actually be better to you than the first one I gave you, which was a female lead? I don't know. It depends on what happens.
Yeah.
So I felt like this was doing something completely different first was the better idea, because the other one I was like, okay, you might like this, but you're gonna like it better than the one I already showed to you. So
makes sense. And I did not hate this, so that's like an improvement over a lot of a lot of anime I've seen. So you can feel successful on that front.
When I was watching this, I was like, okay, if this was like an HBO show and super
I'd be so into it,
long drawn out, like boring, slow character development,
I would.
You'd be like,
up.
oh,
yes.
This is so interesting. This dystopian concept.
Yes, 100%. That's me.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah. All right. Thank you for giving it a chance.
Well, I had to. That's the
you don't
agreement
we
made for this podcast.
You picked this. I'm done with the podcast. You could have said that.
Is there something you could pick that would make me quit the podcast? Fascinating.
I don't think
conundrum.
so. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I could pick the raunchiest, like.
I don't think that would be a problem.
The raunchiest anime, though, like. I mean, okay, you wouldn't be offended by the raunchiness. So, like, what could I do at that point?
Well, I think it would have to be like you only ever picked anime every week forever, and you were like trying to find things I hated. That would be the thing.
If I could find an anime that was just like straight up sexist and it like wasn't funny.
Yeah.
But even then, would you quit the podcast?
Then we'd have a conversation.
You would just think I was trolling
and we'd
you.
realign.
You would think I was trolling you, I think.
Yes. Okay. And I'd be like, you can no longer do this. We need to try again.
Could be a funny podcast, though.
Only for so long.
Yeah. Like, watch 5 episodes of
Oh, God, no.
All right, Sarah. Well, that was my choice. What are you planning to choose for next time?
Okay, so I did very little preparation for this, so I don't know how many episodes we're watching, if it's just 1 or 2, but Avenue 5 is what we're watching. The show on HBO about, it's far in the future, so there's like cruises but in space, and something happens, and this space cruise is not going to get back to Earth in at its projected date. So it's some space shenanigans, and it's got what's his name from House in it.
Okay, the main guy.
House from House. Yeah.
I never watched the show, but I know it. I've seen ads.
It also has Josh Gad in it. He's been in. He's the little snowman guy in Frozen.
Oh yeah, Olaf.
Yeah.
One of Jess's boyfriends on New Girl.
Oh yeah, that's right. Bear Claw. I forgot about Bear Claw.
Zach Woods.
Yes. From Silicon Valley.
Ooh, Silicon Valley.
And The Office,
That's true.
right? Yeah.
Office. I would say Office first. Let's see what's first on his
Oh, Silicon
on
Valley.
IMDb. You think Silicon Valley?
I think so. Because he played a
What?
bigger part in that.
This is just wrong. It said it is known for the movie The Other Guys, and then the Lego Ninjago movie.
Interesting.
Yeah, The Office did not make the top. I guess he's like this. He's like the kind of the second like half of The Office when it's.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why he's not getting credit for The Office as much. But he's in The Office a good amount towards the end.
Yeah. Here, now that I'm on IMDb, I'll give you the IMDb
What's his name?
summary.
Gabe from The Office.
Yeah. The troubled crew of Avenue 5, a space cruise ship filled with spoiled, rich, snotty space tourists, must try and keep everyone calm after their ship gets thrown off course into space and ends up needing 3 years to return to Earth. It is a silly show.
Okay.
So yeah, there is a second season apparently that is going right now, which I did not expect to get a second season because I liked it and then hadn't heard anything about it. But there you go.
Comedy sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like a weird like comedy version of the Titanic and like
or
the
like
the movie,
Battlestar Galactica.
the movie Passengers maybe, or like
oh, there you go.
They're
Yeah,
trapped in space but it's only 3 years, not like their whole life.
Yeah, but it's
okay.
full of like really spoiled rich people who are upset about the situation.
In the trailer without sound, all the characters look way over the top and ridiculous.
Yep. It is a silly show.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what we're going to watch next time.
Okay. Where can people contact us?
People can email us at keepwatchingpod@gmail.com or tweet at us at keepwatchingpod or Instagram at us at keepwatchingpod or leave a comment on YouTube also at keepwatchingpod. And they can also leave a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Yes. Awesome. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.
Bye.